Thank you for tuning in to Spaztastic TV. On today's product review, the Vivitar 786 HD. Alright, now let's get into the 786. Let's get into some little things that just kind of nice about it. It has a tripod screw mounted on the bottom of it, which is nice because then you don't have the little half-ass little plastic deal that, well, I've actually come to like using that on the 783, but it has that. Now, there's one weird thing. I actually have to get a close-up on the camera. On a few of the reviews that I watched of this that are already on YouTube, the little lens cover on them was different on a lot of them reviews, which I think is kind of strange considering it's the same camera. There's probably a good reason that they did that. It also has a little remote wristband watch that I've had issues with when I got it. And when you're trying to record with the camera, it makes a really not very loud beep. It's like a little beep. I'll demonstrate that later. But this wristband remote would never turn the camera on. That was the biggest issue I had with it. Now, if I was like recording in my car, which I did do for one video, which was the Now It Transitions an Effort, when I was actually testing the camera itself, I learned that, well, you could pause the recording. You couldn't start a recording. I never tried to take a picture with it, so I never got it tested out because it quit working on me. So there's obviously some build quality issues here. Now, it also has the same handlebar mount the 783 does, and the same helmet mount, which is things that it comes with. I like the handlebar mount. You can find all sorts of creative ways to mount that thing. And it has a waterproof case, which is always nice if you're going to be doing things underwater. I dropped it. But we'll get into fish cam later just in case it does leak and I ruin the camera. However, can you use this thing for YouTube? Let's get into how well does this thing film, and could you actually use it for YouTube? Alright, you might notice something interesting now that you're watching me on the Vivitar 786 HD, in which I'm going to correct it now. Now you can probably actually hear what I'm saying. So do you really think that you could use something like this in YouTube for your daily YouTube activities, like filming like I do with my Canon? The odds are you're probably going to find that's a little bit difficult. However, I have used this camera for a few little shots. It does record in 1080, albeit it's not the greatest video quality on the planet. It is an improvement over the 783, but this camera is not the easiest thing to use, in which it has its little quirks. It doesn't beep when you press the record button. Of course, the 783 doesn't either, which is a bit annoying, so you actually have to turn around and look at the actual screen to see if it's actually recording. And despite it only having about a 30-minute battery life, it likes to stop recording for some reason. And it's not a user-friendly thing. I would legitimately spend the less money and buy the 783 over the 786. However, in future videos, I am going to most likely be doing the lines that are above it, because I've seen that there was models that went above it. I think there was a 789 and one that was above that they had at Best Buy for not that much more money. So those will be showcased in the future. I don't really like the 786. However, let's move on to fish cam and see how well it does filming underwater. However, I had a thought before fish cam. There was a guy that was complaining about it fluttering and jelloing when he was recording with it, and figured I might as well shake the camera about and move it around out in front of the Spaztastic House of Madness. Hey, look at Dodge Durango. Love this thing. Alright, so as I did on the 786, since this thing has a waterproof case, figured turn it on, and here's that little beep I was talking about. It's pretty faint. That. Imagine trying to hear that in a car. Start thinking you recorded about 15 minutes of video, you get back and you had none of it. Didn't turn on. Anyhow, let's put it in the case. Seal her up. However, I want to show one little thing right here. This is about build quality issues. You can see the screen and it's crooked. Anyhow, let's hit the record button. We are recording. Let's go straight to fish cam. No bubbles. There's a bubble. There's a bubble. That's just coming out from the buttons. Anyhow, let's just get to it. Does it float? Not as good as a 783, but let's get a look at let's get a look at my tinfoil barbs and my goldfish. That's enough of that. It's watertight. Alright, and then the last thing on this little camera that I want to do is let's take a look at some of the pictures that it can take. I mean, although I've taken like 2 pictures with it, it's better representation than no pictures. So would I recommend this little camera? No, I wouldn't. In fact, this is probably going to be one of the very few times when I do a review where I'm not actually going to recommend something, in which I'm not going to post a link down in the description, and that's this. If you have any ideas of how I can make these videos better, now I do understand that when I'm talking in the beginning I'm a little bit boring and I stutter and stumble a lot, but I am getting better at this. I haven't really been doing the in front of the camera kind of like product reviews and stuff for a while, so they'll just obviously get better with time. I mean, I think this one got better. So if you have any comments, questions, anything you want to throw in there, you know, insults, feel free to comment down below. Anyhow, thanks for watching. I want you to know that when we're talking about war, we're really talking about peace. That's a quote from George W. Bush.